Hey there, and welcome. If you're new to the Green Party, or maybe just curious about what they're all about, you are in the right place. We're going to break down everything you need to know, from their core beliefs to how you can actually get involved.
Okay, so to really get the Green Party, let's start with the why. This quote here from Samantha Priestensson, who's an elected Green official, really nails it. She says she's Green because she refuses to be complicit in her own oppression. That's powerful stuff, right? It gets right to the heart of what seems to drive this party, spreading power out to everyone, instead of letting it get hoarded by just a few people.
So, what's the big idea behind the Green Party?
Well, to really get it, you've got to look at the foundation, the core beliefs that guide pretty much everything they do, from policy to campaigns.
All right, these are what you could call the DNA of the Green Party, the 4 pillars. And what's really interesting is, these aren't just for the U.S. party. You'll find these same 4 pillars in Green parties all over the world. They're all connected, too. For instance, the party would say you can't really have ecological wisdom without social justice, because, let's be real, environmental problems always seem to hit marginalized communities the hardest.
And if you build on top of those 4 pillars, you get the 10 key values. Think of these as a more detailed moral compass for their whole political vision. They dig deeper into ideas like decentralization, which is all about giving power back to local communities, and feminism, which is about dismantling those old systems of oppression.
Okay, so values and pillars are great, but how does that stuff actually turn into policy? Let's take a look at the Green Party's platform, which, you guessed it, is built around those same 4 pillars.
First up, pillar number 1, democracy. This is all about reforming our political system. We're talking big changes here, like bringing in ranked choice voting to get rid of that whole spoiler effect argument. They also push for public financing of elections to get big money out of politics, and a foreign policy that's way less about intervention and way more about demilitarization.
Pillar number 2 is social justice. This is where the party lays out its vision for a society that's genuinely fair for everyone. This covers things like a universal healthcare system, basically an improved Medicare for all. It also includes protecting reproductive rights, creating a real pathway to citizenship, and a major overhaul of the criminal justice system to tackle systemic oppression head-on.
Now for pillar 3, and this is probably what you think of when you hear Green Party: ecological sustainability. They treat climate change like the emergency it is. Their platform calls for what they call a Green New Deal, a super fast but fair transition to 100% renewable energy. But it's not just about solar panels. They're also talking about things like regenerative agriculture, moving towards zero waste, and really protecting biodiversity.
And finally, we have the 4th pillar, economic justice. This one kind of ties all the others together. The idea here is to redesign our economy so that it works for people and the planet, not just for corporate profits. So what does that look like in practice? Well, it means policies to rein in corporate power, create a fairer tax system, and really boost local businesses and cooperatives, community-based economics.
Okay, wow. That is a huge, ambitious platform. So you might be wondering, how in the world is a party like this even organized to try and make all that happen?
At the heart of it all is something called the National Committee. Now, don't picture a handful of bosses in a smoke-filled room. This is the main decision-making body, and it's made up of delegates from all the state parties and caucuses across the entire country. So they're the ones who have the final say.
And this is a really, really important point to understand. The National Green Party isn't some top-down command center telling the states what to do. It's actually a federation. It's probably better to think of it as a bunch of independent state-level parties that have all decided to band together to form one national party because they share the same core values and platform.
So how does a state party get to join this federation? Well, there's a process, and it's all laid out here. A state group has to officially sign on to the 4 pillars and 10 key values. They have to show they're serious about diversity. They have to try to get on the ballot and, actually run candidates for office. It's a whole system designed to make sure all the member parties are active and on the same page.
All right, so we know the structure is grassroots focused, but how does that actually play out? How does an idea go from someone's head to being an official party stance?
When it comes to voting in that national committee, they have some rules to make sure decisions are made carefully. First, they need what's called a presence quorum. That just means that delegates from at least 2/3 of the states have to show up and participate. Then, for the really big stuff, like changing the party platform, they need a consensus quorum, which is a 2/3 supermajority vote. This just makes sure that the party's core beliefs are stable and have broad support.
Okay, this is probably the question every new member wants to ask. If you've got a great idea, maybe for a change to the platform or a new rule, how do you actually get it on the table? What's the path to getting it a real vote?
The whole process is designed to be really open and thoughtful. First, a state party or a committee turns the idea into a formal proposal. Then it gets reviewed and put into an online voting system. And this is the cool part. There's a discussion period that lasts for a few weeks where delegates from all over can debate it, suggest changes, and really work through the details before the final vote happens. It's literally grassroots democracy in action.
So, you can see the big takeaway here is that this party is built for people to actually participate, not just sit on the sidelines. So let's talk about how you can plug in and start making a difference.
Honestly, one of the best ways to really influence the party is to join one of its national committees. These committees are where the real work gets done. They have them for pretty much everything you can think of: the platform, bylaws, peace action, eco action, you name it. This is where policies get hammered out and campaigns get planned.
Now this number here, 3. It might seem small, but it's actually a huge deal. It represents a real, tangible opportunity for you to get involved. See, every single state party can appoint up to 3 of its members to every single national committee. You do the math on that? That's hundreds of spots open for regular members to step up, share their expertise, and have a direct say in what the national party does.
So if you're feeling ready to jump in, here are 4 clear steps you can take. First thing, get in touch with your state's Green Party. That's your front door to the whole movement. You can also become a sustaining member to help support the party financially. And then ask your state party about getting appointed to one of those national committees we just talked about. And finally, just volunteer your time and skills. They call it a people-powered party for a reason.
And we'll end on this simple, powerful call to action that really gets to the core of it all. For the Green Party, trying to build a totally new political system based on their values is a huge project. And by its very design, it all comes down to people at the grassroots level getting involved and making it happen. Thanks so much for joining us for this look inside the Green Party of the United States.